Now at 10, we visit a ceremony to send off an area National Guard company as they prepare to deploy overseas. Plus, the suspect leads Newton County, Missouri authorities in a high-speed chase, what we know as police search for the suspect. And
Congress in chaos. The House of Representatives still has no speaker. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have that story coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Family members, friends, and supporters gathered at Carthage High School as some area National Guard members prepare to head overseas. KOAM's Kerry Worthen was there and talked with the soldier and his family.
Mothers, daughters, sons, and husbands, like Franklin Queen, are just some of the Missouri National Guardsmen deploying to the Horn of Africa.
It's the first time I've ever been deployed. I actually just got married this year and found out we're going to have a boy this year in May.
I don't think it's really hit me fully yet, just because it's been a whirlwind. I think once we actually leave today, it's going to be a lot more stressful, especially because we have our little one on the way.
These soldiers underwent countless hours of training to prepare for deployment overseas.
So they actually started the preparation about a year ago, and they go through several their annual training events, and then they get evaluated prior to, and they just spent the last 3 weeks doing their final evaluation.
The 294th Engineer Company's mission is to conduct construction projects.
It's harder on the families staying here than it is on the soldiers going forward in a lot of cases.
I can't even tell you how proud I am.
This is a really big moment for a lot of people, and I'm proud to go and represent the Missouri National Guard and the United States Army over in Africa.
In Carthage, Kerry Worthen, KOAM News.
The National Guard cannot comment on the specifics about the deployment, but did say that they will be there through the fall and winter of this year. A suspect led Newton County police on a high-speed chase last night. Speeds topped 105 miles per hour. Authorities say the suspect left their car near Jacob Lane and ran into Shoal Creek, and police believe they crossed Shoal Creek where the railroad tracks were. Authorities asked the train to stop in case the suspect tried to hop on. The chase began near Downstream Boulevard of a suspected DWI driver. The chase passed through several Joplin streets. At last report, the suspect has not been found, but they did leave items in their car to identify who it is. A Southwest Missouri woman is dead following a crash in Greene County, Missouri. Authorities say yesterday 30-year-old Jennifer Hood of Carl Junction drove off the road on a curve, crossed the median into oncoming traffic, where she hit another car head-on. The driver of the other car, 18-year-old Madison Ruse of Pleasant Hope, Missouri, and her passenger, 49-year-old Andrew Ruse, suffered serious injuries. The mother accused of the torture death of a 4-year-old girl in West Central Missouri pleads guilty. Mary Mass pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, first-degree child endangerment, and death of a 4-year-old Jessica Mast in December 2020. Authorities went to a home near Cole Camp. They found Jessica wrapped in a blanket, already dead, with bruises on her body, along with ruptured blisters. Jessica's father, James Mast, was scheduled to appear in court today. There is no word yet on the outcome of that pretrial conference. Prosecutors recommended Mary Mast spend 5 years in prison. 35-year-old Ethan Mast and 21-year-old Courtney Allman were also charged in the investigation. Investigators say they killed the girl to remove a demon. Ethan Mast pleaded guilty last year. Allman still awaits trial. On November 8th, Missouri voters voted to pass the legalization of recreational marijuana. The city of Neosho, Missouri is now preparing its residents for the legalization of marijuana, which will include a sales tax. City officials say the tax will go back to the city.
First, any sales tax or any increase in taxes has to go to a vote of the people. It'll be on, they're looking to have it on the April ballot this year for a 3% sales tax on retail marijuana. This money would most likely just go into general revenue for general city usage. So it could be used for swimming pools or roads or police, although the police and fire have their own tax right now. But it could be used for a multitude of things. It just goes into general revenue.
Residents of Neosho could start buying marijuana recreationally as soon as February 3rd. All right, meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with the first look at the weather.
Thank you very much, Jalen. It was a pretty day across the area, lots of sunshine, a little bit on the chilly side, but that's what's to be expected for early January. Radars are clear right now. Over the last 36 hours, we were in the 50s yesterday, then we dropped down all the way into the 30s, all the way down to freezing, and then this afternoon we bumped up into the upper 40s. Now we're starting that downward climb. Once again, we're going to drop through the 30s tonight, all the way down to about 29 degrees by tomorrow morning. And if we take a look down the lane, we're going to see some chilly mornings ahead. But there are some showers expected for Saturday, and then we're going to go into a dry pattern and maybe a little bit of a winter mix as we head into the extended forecast. Of course, I'll have all the details on that coming up in just a little bit.
The Carthage, Missouri School District hosted a meet and greet with the new district superintendent. The Carthage Board of Education announced Dr. Luke Boyer from Conway, Missouri, accepted the position. He'll replace Dr. Mark Baker, who served as superintendent for 6 years.
This is my 23rd year in education, 17 years in administration. So I think there's an experience that I can bring to the table, looking to be just pretty collaborative. I think Dr. Baker's established a great team of administrators for me to really just lean on.
Boyer's contract begins on July 1st. To learn more about Dr. Luke Boyer, download the KOAM News app. Kenneth Stewart, Assistant Professor of Primary Care.
It's called commotio cordis, and basically it means blunt trauma to the chest that can actually disrupt the electrical activity of the heart, causing you to go into a fatal arrhythmia.
More drama on Capitol Hill. The House held 2 more rounds of voting for the Speaker today. There's still no clear indication whether Republican leader Kevin McCarthy will be able to garner enough support from his colleagues to win the nomination. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has the details from Washington.
Allies of Republican Kevin McCarthy are pushing hard, but a few holdouts in his party won't budge. Despite multiple votes, there is still no House Speaker at this hour.
A speaker has not been elected.
The House is back in session, and Republican members are still trying to figure out who should lead them. With a slim majority, every vote counts.
Yesterday, our colleagues on the other side of the aisle were tweeting their bags of popcorn that they had out. They love it.
It's not a good look. It's not a good thing. It's the United States of America.
In his quest for the speakership, GOP leader Kevin McCarthy is struggling to find enough votes to move him across the finish line. McCarthy's critics believe he won't change the status quo in Washington and isn't tough enough to take on Democrats. In the 4th and 5th round of voting, McCarthy's loudest opponents nominated Byron Donalds of Florida.
This country needs leadership that does not reflect this city, this town that is badly broken.
Former President Trump is voicing his support for McCarthy, urging Republicans to unite, writing, quote, "Republicans do not turn a great triumph into a giant and embarrassing defeat."
The president needs to tell Kevin McCarthy that, sir, you do not have the votes and it's time to withdraw.
No one knows just how long this could take, but an advisory went out to Democrats hinting that members should be prepared to be here all week and possibly into the weekend. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. Clarence Brown served in the U.S. Army from 1952 to 1965. The Oswego, Kansas native was stationed in Korea. We're proud to salute Clarence Brown, a four-state hero. Coming up, marijuana gummies pose as a threat for children.
They look like candy, but they're laced with cannabis. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. Coming up, the alarming number of young children eating edibles.
An increasing number of Americans are trading cocktails for mocktails as a part of Dry January. The wellness trend not only helping people reset in the new year, it's sparking big business for companies creating non-alcoholic beverages. And one Fox reporter has that story.
Ushered in a new year, putting all the holiday celebrations and parties behind us. Now a growing number of drinkers are choosing to avoid alcohol for the month as they participate in Dry January. According to consumer research group CGA, 35% of people raised an alcoholic alternative in 2022, up from 21% in 2019. And that number's expected to be even higher this year.
People want to continue to build and maintain these new habits, but still go out and gather and have fun.
In response to the influx of people turning to sober options, companies are creating alcohol-free beers, wines, and spirits. And more bars and restaurants are putting them on the menu. Sales of non-alcoholic beverages spiked by more than 20% last year, with continued growth predicted through at least 2026, according to data. Event ticketing site Eventbrite says classes and other events are also reflecting the trend of people wanting to socialize while sober.
We've seen that mocktail events on Eventbrite have more than doubled compared to last year, and attendance to these types of events have grown by nearly 3 times.
Medical experts say Dry January is a good opportunity to reset the body and focus on overall wellness.
It's really about them coming back into balance, getting their metabolism back in order, getting their blood sugar back in balance, and really helping to increase hydration.
Those aren't the only health benefits from abstaining from drinking for 31 days. A new study finds a month without booze led to better sleep, less anxiety, and more energy. In New York, Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
New year, a new COVID variant of concern. The World Health Organization says the coronavirus Omicron strain XBB.1.5 has become the dominant strain in the U.S. in just a matter of weeks. The northeastern and some parts of Europe is getting hit the hardest right now. Officials are concerned about the growth of this variant, saying it could drive a new wave of cases. It is still unknown if the strain is more severe or if it could cause more fatalities. Meanwhile, U.S. health officials say people should get their booster, test before attending large gatherings, and wear a mask in crowded indoor spaces. COVID tests and antiviral pills Paxlovid and Molnupiravir are expected to work against this variant as well. Small children are facing a growing risk in the form of marijuana gummies. This according to a new study that says cases of kids ingesting them have grown exponentially. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
Emergency health and poison control experts are sounding the alarm. They say a growing number of very young children are accidentally ingesting edible marijuana products, often mistaking them for candy. Over the past 5 years, the number of states allowing recreational cannabis has more than doubled. And during that period, the number of reports of children under 6 ingesting these products increased by more than 1,300%, according to an analysis published in the journal Pediatrics. The study's authors believe a number of factors are driving the trend.
Was it because of increased legalization? Was it because of, the lockdown with more kids being at home? We don't know exactly the answer to that.
Intended to be relaxing or even medicinal, adult-sized doses of cannabis products can have toxic effects on a small child's body. Over the past 5 years, accidental ingestions resulted in symptoms ranging from vomiting to difficulty breathing, and in rare cases required mechanical ventilation.
We always encourage that the products be kept up, away, and out of reach of children, locked if possible.
If you're concerned a child may have accidentally eaten a cannabis product, confidential help is available at poisonhelp.org. The site also provides a phone number for those wanting to talk to a trained expert. The study's authors say toddlers are especially at risk because they're just starting to explore, but not old enough to realize that thing that looks like candy may be something else. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Meteorologist Sam Lane is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, crime is impacting hospital staffing.
Well, friends, we had lots of sunshine to go around for everyone today with not too bad on the way of temperatures, generally in the 40s and even a few 50s down in Oklahoma right now. It's starting to cool off quite a bit down in Seneca, Missouri at the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, and as well as across the entire area. Temperatures are going to be dropping down into the 30s again tonight and bottoming out in the upper 20s in many locations. We made it up to 48 today after starting out at freezing, and which is above the normals of 44 and 25. And of course, the records back in 1997 and 1959, -7. Saintly not seeing anything like that in the near future, so that's good news. Big storm system across the northern plains still spinning like a top this afternoon, basically over northern Iowa, spitting off pieces of energy rolling through the area. Severe weather down in the southeastern United States has come to an end, thank goodness. But look at the big storm off the west coast of California. This is a monster, what we call a meteorological bomb, and that's when the pressure drops 24 millibars in 24 hours. That is now starting to make its presence known in the western coast of California, producing lots of flooding rains and landslides for those folks, but nothing like that here. Instead, we're going to see dry conditions tonight with lows in the 30s and even some 20s, but right now we're already down into the 30s in many locations. Iola's down to 34 right now, still 43 here in Joplin. Temperatures over the last 24 hours, we're a little bit warmer tonight than we were last night at this time. Some places a little bit cooler, like Yates Center, where they're about 2 degrees cooler right now. Dew points are in the 20s, so the dry air is definitely in place, and that's what's going to allow the temperatures to fall tonight down into those upper 20s. 43 right now in Joplin, west wind at 7, makes it feel like 39 out there, so it's definitely needing a light jacket. 27 on the dew point, and the pressure is currently rising. Temperatures tonight, like I said, are going to drop down into the upper 20s to around 30 degrees in many locations with those light westerly winds and mostly fair skies. Then tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures jumping up into the 40s, even some 50s down in Oklahoma. That'll feel pretty nice with some west-northwest winds. Then as we go through time, we're going to see a warm front move up from the south. Really not going to change our temperatures all that much for Friday morning, with generally readings in the 20s and 30s. But by Friday afternoon, we'll start to see the clouds increase, winds coming up out of the south, and so we'll jump into the lower 50s in many locations, even close to 60 down in Oklahoma. Then as we go through Saturday morning, we're going to see some showers develop, especially up towards the north with that warm front in the area. And then as we go through Saturday night, things should start to clear off. Not much rain expected from this system on Saturday morning. A few sprinkles, mainly up towards the north and east, a little bit in the rain bucket, but that's about it. All right, as we go through time, we're going to see this mild condition across our area, and it's going to fluctuate over the next few days, but then we're going to see mild conditions take back over as we head into the early part of next week, so that'll feel pretty good. Over the next 7 days, here you go. 46 tomorrow, 55 on Friday, 51 on Saturday with those morning showers, and then we return right back into the 50s early next week, Jalen.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we don't get any severe, that looks pretty good to me.
Absolutely, we'll take it.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, Sam. Coming up, President Biden takes a trip.
Bipartisanship isn't completely dead for now. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with more on the president's trip to Kentucky coming up.
The rise in violent crime across the country is putting an even bigger burden on hospitals, particularly when it comes to staffing issues. Fox Business Network's Lydia Hugh reports on what some hospitals are doing to combat the problem.
A violence prevention program here at the Jacobi Medical Center in the Bronx, New York, is cutting down on injuries from violent crime. Every person who's a victim of violent crime here is seen by a social worker who helps mediate the conflict that brought them to the hospital. A social worker also follows up with them after they're discharged, and the hospital says the program is effective. It has reduced gunshot wounds by 59% in areas they serve compared to areas that they do not, and decreased the rate of re-injury in patients also by 59%. Still, the hospital says it's seeing 120% more victims of violent crime in 2021 and 22 than it did in the 2 years before.
It's really been a little bit overwhelming, and I think it is tough on the day-to-day. That has a lasting effect on physicians in the emergency room, on the inpatient service, and in the ICUs.
Hospitals across the country are overwhelmed. In Aurora, Colorado, where murders, aggravated assaults, and robberies are at an all-time high, frontline workers at UC Health say they are seeing a, quote, noticeable and alarming increase in violent crime-related injuries. In Seattle, Washington, shooting deaths increased by 23% last year, and the trauma center at Harborview Medical Center expects to see its busiest year this year in the last 12. Officials are noting the strain on their hospital staff as the nursing shortage in the country is projected to reach between 200 and 450,000 within the next 2 years. Some now say that repairing the healthcare system goes hand in hand with addressing growing violence. Reporting from the Bronx, New York, Lydia Hu, Fox Business.
Coming up, thousands head to the Vatican to mourn Pope Benedict. The faithful flocking to Vatican City had one last opportunity today to pay respects to the late Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, who died last week at 95. Tens of thousands of mourners have been paying tribute to Benedict beneath St. Peter's Basilica. Just a few hundred yards away, the crowd at Pope Francis's general audience cheered, "Long live the Pope." The tale of two popes will make history again tomorrow when Francis becomes the first pontiff in modern history to preside over the funeral of his predecessor. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. And coming up, the first openly trans woman is executed. Plus, the COVID-19 vaccine is safe for children with immune diseases. There were dozens of people supporting Amber McLaughlin at the hour of her death as she was executed by lethal injection. The Department of Corrections says she was pronounced dead just before 7 o'clock.
There were dozens of people here in Bonne Terre supporting Amber McLaughlin at the hour of her death as she was executed by lethal injection. The Department of Corrections pronounced her dead just before 7 o'clock.
Activists traveled all over the state protesting the scheduled execution of Amber McLaughlin from Jefferson City to St. Louis to their final stop in Bonne Terre at the prison.
Amber's humanity is the most important thing, and that's what we try to amplify. We try to center and focus on. Even today, people have asked me, well, why are you out here today? Because it's going to happen. Yes, it is going to happen. However, we are going to continue to stand in the gap and let our community know that these things are not okay, and we're going to follow it up with letting our legislators know that it's not okay.
Governor Parsons said in a statement denying her clemency, Miss Beverly Gunther's family and loved ones deserve peace. The state of Missouri will carry out McLaughlin's sentence according to the court's order and deliver justice.
Our condolences definitely go out to her and her family, and it was a horrible thing that happened. We have never said that it's okay to kill anybody, including the victims in these cases. But in addition to that, we understand that when someone commits a heinous crime, should not be up to the state to visit that heinousness on them as well.
She is the first openly transgender inmate to be killed by the state. Her friend Michaela Joy Kramer says she had one last chance to visit her Monday night.
She had so much hope, I think I had accepted that today would be the end and the last day, and she kept bringing me hope, and it's like, well, it's not official yet, and still gonna see what happens, and maybe the governor will release a decision. But she was strong until the end. Stronger than me, that's for sure.
The Department of Corrections shared her last statement. It reads, "I am sorry for what I did. I am a loving and caring person." Reporting in Bonne Terre, Laura Barcheski.
The COVID-19 vaccine is safe for children and teens with a history of rare and potentially deadly immune condition. That's according to new research published in JAMA and funded by the National Institutes of Health. Researchers looked at patients who had multi-system inflammatory syndrome, then got the vaccine. They found no serious complications, with about half of the participants reporting mild reactions such as arm soreness and fatigue. The president enters 2023 and the second half of his term with the House controlled by the opposing party. While Republicans are vowing to hold multiple investigations, the president is touting the benefits of bipartisanship. Fox's Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
They've been fighting this for years to get the funding to repair the bridge.
On his first trip in the new year, President Biden stood in front of the Brent Spence Bridge in Kentucky, which is getting renovated with funding from the roughly $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Among those sitting in the front row for his speech, Republican Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and former Senator Rob Portman.
This whole bill is the most significant investment in American roads, bridges since the Eisenhower Interstate Highway System.
The president is touting the impacts of the bipartisan package, while McConnell is looking to take credit for the bridge from the voters in his home state of Kentucky. But whether the two are willing or able to turn the show of bipartisanship into action this year with a Republican House majority remains to be seen.
This bridge, I think, symbolizes the coming together of both sides.
Their attempts to bridge the gaps between the two parties is a stark contrast from the chaos dominating the House. Frontrunner Kevin McCarthy failed to secure a majority of the vote for Speaker after multiple rounds because of opposition from several Republicans.
If the Republicans show that they can't govern themselves, voters are not going to believe that they can govern the country.
The president is distancing himself from that fight.
That's not my problem. I just think it's a little embarrassing it's taking so long in the way they're dealing with one another.
House Republicans have promised investigations into a litany of issues, including the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Justice Department, and the administration's handling of the border. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us once again after the break.
Well, it was a pretty nice day across the area, considering it's January, with temperatures in the 40s, so we weren't that far off from normal. And right now outside in Seneca, Missouri at the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, pretty nice night down there too, mostly fair skies, and starting to get a little bit chilly out there. So if you're heading out, you might want to put on a light jacket. This afternoon, we made it up to 48 after starting out at freezing this morning, which was above the normals of 44 and 25. The records way back in 1959. It could still get down to -7 this time of year. Satellite view shows the big storm system that caused all the severe weather on Monday is now up in Iowa, and it's just sitting there spinning around, and little spokes of energy are rotating around it, and that's what's going to perhaps cause some showers as we go into Saturday. But speaking of showers, look at this big storm off the west coast of California. This is what we call a meteorological bomb. What basically that is a cyclone that drops 24 millibars in 24 hours. That is what's been going on, spreading lots of rain across California and certainly causing some landslides and mudslides, but generating tremendous amounts of snowpack for the Sierra Nevada. So that's going to help them out in the long term as far as the drought. All right, let's take a look at temperatures right now. Generally in the 30s across our area, 34 in Iola right now, 43 in Joplin, 37 for our friends down in Cassville. And we're averaging around 2 to 3 degrees higher tonight than we were last night at this time. A little bit cooler up in Yates Center and also a little bit cooler down in Bella Vista. Dew points are low. They're generally in the 20s right now, so that's what's going to allow the temperatures to fall tonight under mostly fair skies, allowing for radiational cooling. 43 right now in Joplin with a west wind at 7. Feels like 39 with that wind, and the dew point is 27 with the pressure is rising. Temperatures tonight dropping down into the 20s in many locations, lower 30s elsewhere, like Pineville with 32, 29 in Joplin, then mostly sunny tomorrow with highs in the mid-40s across our area, maybe even touching 50 down in Miami and in Oklahoma. Then as we go through Thursday night into Friday morning, there will be a warm front moving up from the south, but temperatures are still going to drop down into the 20s and 30s with some increasing clouds, especially as we go through the day on Friday. Increasing clouds, southerly winds, and temperatures making it into the upper 50s in Oklahoma, mid-50s for most of us, and 40s up towards the north. Then as we go into Saturday morning, that's when the chance of showers starts to break out, especially from, let's say, Iola to Pittsburgh to Joplin and Monette and north and east from there. And then that system will rapidly pull away as we head towards the rest of the weekend. Rainfall amounts are not going to be all that much, just maybe a little bit of shower activity generating around a few hundredths up towards the north and east is what we can expect from that system. Instead, we're going to see some chilly air tonight and tomorrow, and then we're going to see the mild weather start to move back in, especially as we head towards the early part of next week. That's when the mild weather will really start to build across our area with mostly dry conditions. Over the next 7 days, 46 tomorrow, double nickel on Friday, 51 on Saturday with those showers, a little bit cooler on Sunday, but then we go right back into the 50s on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with lows just a little bit above freezing. And in the extended, there might be a little bit of a winter mix on Thursday morning. Still trying to decide exactly how that's going to pan out, but we'll have plenty of time to look at that system in the future.
So for Christmas, I was up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It was well below zero. So seeing high 40s and low 50s is like summertime for me
it's
right
like
now.
break out the suntan lotion.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving that.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Coming up in sports, the Missouri Tigers hit the floor for a top 20 matchup against Arkansas. Plus, the Joplin Eagles prepare to host the 2023 Kaminsky Classic. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Joplin boys return home from the holiday break this week, hosting the 2023 Kaminsky Classic. And Joplin kicks off the tournament tomorrow afternoon, facing William Chrisman at 2 o'clock. Now for Joplin, they head into the tournament with a 5-3 record, and they are the defending champions in their home tournament. Now here's the team on trying to repeat and getting to play in front of the entire school at 2 o'clock.
Last year, the crowd was just amazing. Like the whole school, they're always supporting. We have a really good support system around us. So, when we get to play in front of them, it's just, it's really cool. So we like to come out with the win and just show them what we're about.
I think the pride is the key thing there. I know last year was the first time we've won it since 1999. So I think it'd be cool to go back-to-back on that one. So using both of that as kind of like motivation going into the game, I think would be great for these kids.
The Missouri Tigers are off to a hot start this season. The Tigers are 12-1 and have made the national rankings for the first time this season, sitting at number 20 in this week's poll. And their last two games, they've beaten 19th ranked Kentucky and 16th ranked Illinois. And tonight they face their third straight ranked opponent on the road against Arkansas. The Razorbacks are 11-2, ranked 13th in the nation. That one's still going, and it's a good one. Arkansas, though, leads by 4 with about a minute to go. In the Big 12, big opportunity tonight for the Oklahoma Sooners at home against 25th ranked Iowa State. It was a tight one with the Sooners fall just short, 63-60. Jalen Hill leads the way for Oklahoma with 16 points. Staying in the Big 12, the Kansas State Wildcats picked up a big-time win last night, beating Texas 116-103. The 219 combined points between the two teams. It's a new Big 12 record for a regulation game. Marquise Noel scored a game-high 36 points for the Wildcats to go along with 9 assists. K-State's now 13-1 overall, including 2-0 in the Big 12. The Kansas City Chiefs finish up the regular season this weekend on the road against the Las Vegas Raiders. And the Chiefs will face the Raiders on Saturday at 3:30. Now, this is the second meeting of the season between the two teams. In their first one, Kansas City won, but they had to work for it, getting by Vegas 30-29. Now, this Saturday's meeting will be the first NFL game since the league postponed Monday's Bengals-Bills game after Bills safety Damar Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest on the field and had to be taken to a local hospital in Cincinnati.
We're going to be the first game back, and so it's hard to say. I mean, there's a job that you have to do. You put all this work in for months to try to go out there and play your best football. But when you get on that field, I'm sure it'll be a little bit of a weird feeling because it was such a scary incident that was terrifying that I think everybody saw. And so we will see when we get out there, but I know our guys will just get out there, and hopefully when we get to play in the game again, it can be fun and everybody can enjoy it like we have our whole lives.
And that's it for sports. We're back after this.
Southwest Airlines is trying to make amends after its horrific holiday meltdown as it faces a lawsuit from a passenger who wasn't provided a refund. Fox Business correspondent Grady Trimble has the latest.
Southwest Airlines trying to correct their wrongs by giving out 25,000 frequent flyer points to customers impacted by the holiday chaos. Travelers receiving the bonus miles offer in an apology letter from CEO Bob Jordan. Jordan writing, quote, "I know that no amount of apologies can undo your experience." Southwest telling Fox Business the bonus points are in addition to customers' reimbursements and refunds on flights and incidental expenses related to their recent travel disruptions. Southwest travelers reported long waits after clicking a link to add the points to their frequent flyer accounts.
Not in my years of being a travel advisor, I've never seen this ever.
Meanwhile, Southwest is being sued by a passenger who says it failed to provide refunds to stranded customers. The person filing the suit says all they offered him for his frustration was credit for him and his daughter after scrapping their flight and being unable to book them alternative travel. The White House also saying Southwest, quote, failed its customers point blank and that the Transportation Department is watching closely.
I like to see them working on the same rules, but more transparency. More transparency is what I like to see.
Southwest has yet to announce how many passengers were affected by the 16,000 flight cancellations. In Chicago, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
Next, we head to Alaska to join some doggies on the bus. You may or may not enjoy traveling by bus, but we have a story of a bus that you'll probably love because it's not for people, but it's for pups. Jeannie Moos reports on the doggy bus.
Good morning, Bama.
It definitely isn't a Greyhound bus, but there are hounds in it.
Good morning, Jake.
Nothing but dogs jumping into their assigned seats, attached to leashes rather than seat belts, picking up waiting passengers with wagging tails.
Good morning, Amaru. Would you like a complimentary liver with your bus ride?
Nobody said no.
Jake. Dasher. Gumbo.
This bus is better than an airline.
Excuse you, you already had yours.
The doggy bus
Load up!
is operated by Mo Mountain Mutts in tiny Skagway, Alaska. It's a husband and wife team offering dog training and dog walking. Do the dogs know their own seat?
Most of them do. The new puppies don't. They'll try to just jump in any seat available until we shuffle them back into the licky puppy corner.
The licky puppy corner? They're practically necking in the back of the bus as they ride to outings.
Yarrow and Otis are tangled.
The bus offers the potential for entanglements, but when we watch them disembark...
Jake, Amaru, Odie, go ahead.
They were better behaved than a busload of kids.
I can't tell you how many of these dogs were monsters before I started working with them.
That's Mo Thompson's own little monster chiming in. Oh, sure, some of the passengers are rule breakers.
Excuse me, ma'am, your tail is in the aisle. Ma'am, you're gonna have to adjust your butt.
But there's one seat that's off limits.
Who's honking the horn? Bama!
Bama's ready to trade her dog license for a driver's license.
Excuse me, ma'am, you're not driving. Get out of my seat.
Hopefully they bring that to the 4 states because I got a German Shepherd that I know would love to ride on that. Well, that's our time for tonight, and thank you guys so much for joining us. But before you go, we'll leave you with the video of a dog being saved from a frozen pond. Be safe, and we'll do this all again tomorrow. See you then.